My name is Adil, and I grew up in a small town where opportunities were few and far between. My family was not wealthy. We lived a modest life with just enough to get by. My father worked as a tailor, and my mother took care of the household and my two younger brothers. We didn't live in luxury, but we were close-knit, and my parents worked hard to provide for us. From a young age, I dreamed of something bigger, something beyond the quiet streets of my hometown. I would often sit on the porch, staring into the distance, imagining a life where I worked in a big city with tall buildings and fast-paced streets. I dreamed of wearing a suit, working in an office, and having a job that made me feel important. But these were just dreams. At the time, they felt far from reality. I wasn't the best student in school. I did okay, but nothing exceptional. And as for college, well, that seemed like an impossible dream for my family. We couldn't afford it, and the idea of leaving home to study in a distant city seemed like a fantasy. When I graduated from high school, reality hit me hard. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. The job market in my town was limited, and without any higher education or specialized skills, my options were few. I started working in my father's tailoring shop, helping him with small tasks like cutting fabric and sewing buttons. It was honest work, but it wasn't the life I wanted for myself. Every day, I felt a growing sense of frustration, wondering if I would ever find a way out. Chapter 2: A Growing Restlessness. Working in the tailoring shop made me feel like my life was stuck in a loop. Day after day, I watched my father and the other tailors stitch clothes for the same customers. There was a routine, a predictability to everything, and while that brought comfort to some, it made me feel trapped. I didn't want to spend my life in this small town, working the same job my father had worked his entire life. I craved something different, something bigger, but I didn't know how to get it. The restlessness grew with every passing month. I would sit up late at night, scrolling through job postings online, looking for anything that might offer me a way out. But most of the listings required a college degree or technical skills that I didn't have. The more I looked, the more discouraged I became. There were moments when I wondered if I would ever escape this life. Maybe I was destined to be just like my father, spending my days stitching clothes in a small shop, my dreams of a city life fading into the background. But deep down, I knew I couldn't give up. I kept applying for jobs, even though most of my applications went unanswered. Rejection after rejection piled up, and it began to weigh on me. Each time I received an email telling me that I wasn't qualified for the position, it felt like a punch to the gut. But still, I kept trying. I had to. I couldn't let go of the idea that there was something more out there for me. Chapter 3: A Ray of Hope. One day, after what felt like an eternity of sending out job applications with no response, I came across a job posting for a customer service position in a large city. The company wasn't well known, and the job didn't require any advanced degrees or special skills, just a willingness to learn and a good attitude. I hesitated for a moment before applying. It wasn't the office job I had always imagined, but it was something. And more importantly, it was a chance to leave my town and start fresh. I sent in my application, not expecting much. By this point, I had grown used to the silence that followed my job applications, and I didn't let myself get too hopeful. But then, a week later, something unexpected happened. I received a phone call from the company, asking if I could come in for an interview. I couldn't believe it. For a moment, I just stood there, stunned, the phone still pressed to my ear. They wanted to interview me. This was my chance, my opportunity to finally take that first step toward the life I had always dreamed of. I immediately agreed to the interview, and for the next few days, I could barely think of anything else. I practiced answering potential questions, rehearsing my responses over and over in my head. Chapter 4: The Interview. The day of the interview arrived, and I was a bundle of nerves. I had never been to the city before, and just getting there was an adventure in itself. I took a long bus ride, watching as the landscape changed from rural fields to towering buildings. The closer I got to the city, the more I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. This was it, my chance to prove myself. When I arrived at the office building, I was in awe. The place was enormous, with glass windows that reflected the sun and people dressed in business attire rushing in and out. I felt small and out of place, but I pushed those feelings aside and walked inside. The interview went surprisingly well. The hiring manager asked me about my previous work experience, and though I didn't have much to say beyond my time at my father's tailoring shop, I emphasized my willingness to learn and my determination to succeed. I told them how eager I was to take on this new challenge, and by the end of the interview, I felt like I had made a good impression. Still, I knew better than to get my hopes up too high. I had been through this process before: hope, excitement, and then disappointment. So, I tried to stay grounded as I waited for the call that would determine my future. Chapter 5: A New Beginning. A few days later, I got the call. I had been offered the job. I could hardly contain my excitement. After so many months of struggle and uncertainty, I finally had something to look forward to. This job wasn't glamorous, and the pay wasn't great, but it was an opportunity to start fresh in the city. It was the escape I had been waiting for. I packed my bags and said goodbye to my family. Leaving home wasn't easy. My parents were proud of me, but I could see the worry in their eyes. They knew how hard life could be in the city, and they didn't want me to struggle. But I assured them that this was what I wanted. I had to take this chance, or I would regret it for the rest of my life. When I arrived in the city, everything felt new and exciting. The hustle and bustle of the streets, the towering skyscrapers, the fast pace of life, it was everything I had imagined, and more. But with that excitement came challenges. I had to find a place to live, adjust to the cost of living, and get used to the demands of my new job. Chapter 6: The First Days at Work. The first few weeks on the job were tough. I worked in the customer service department, answering phone calls from customers who had complaints or questions about their accounts. It wasn't glamorous work, and some days it felt overwhelming. I was dealing with angry customers, long hours, and a steep learning curve. There were moments when I questioned whether I had made the right decision. Was this really the life I had wanted? But I didn't let those doubts consume me. I had worked hard to get this far, and I wasn't about to give up. Slowly, I started to get the hang of things. I learned how to handle difficult customers, how to solve problems quickly, and how to stay calm under pressure. My supervisors took notice, and they appreciated my work ethic. I wasn't the best at my job, but I was determined to improve every day. Chapter 7: The Turning Point. As time went on, I began to feel more comfortable in my role. I no longer dreaded going to work, and I found myself enjoying the challenges that came with the job. I liked helping customers solve their problems, and I took pride in knowing that I was making their lives a little easier. My hard work paid off when I was promoted to a team leader position. It wasn't a huge promotion, but it was a step in the right direction. Being a team leader came with new responsibilities. I was now in charge of training new employees and helping them navigate the challenges of the job. It felt good to be in a leadership role, and I took my responsibilities seriously. I wanted to help others the way my supervisors had helped me when I first started. My promotion also came with a pay raise, which made life in the city a little easier. I was able to send money back home to my family, which made me feel proud. I was finally in a position to give back to the people who had supported me throughout my life. Chapter 8, The Best Job in the World. Looking back on my journey, I can honestly say that I have found the best job in the world. It's not because it's glamorous or high-paying, but because it has given me a sense of purpose. I wake up every morning excited to go to work, knowing that I am making a difference in people's lives. I never thought I would end up in customer service, but this job has taught me valuable skills, patience, communication, and problem solving. I now understand that success isn't always about finding the perfect job, it's about making the most of the opportunities you're given. This job may not have been my dream job, but it has become something I love. It has given me stability, pride, and a chance to grow. My journey isn't over yet. I still have dreams of moving up in the company, maybe even one day becoming a manager. But for now, I'm happy where I am. I've learned that happiness comes from within, and that sometimes the best jobs are the ones you never expected to find. And who knows? Maybe this job will be the stepping stone to even greater things. But for now, I'm content, knowing that I've found a job that makes me feel fulfilled.
Subscribe for more videos. Your support helps me create more content. Thanks for watching.